evening. My name is Admiral Paris, and this is Barbara Strategy. Tonight, I'm going to talk about the inaugural speech, the second inaugural speech that Donald Trump gave. You want to destroy the Constitution? You want to destroy this country? Go after the First Amendment. Go after the Second Amendment. And the thing is, you go after the First Amendment, then all your Second Amendment guys are going to say, hey, I got a gun, so you better not come after me.
This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
This is huge. This is huge. This whole argument over is it a man? Is it a woman? Did the man become a woman? Did the woman become a man? It is so retarded, so freaking retarded. It is frustrating. I can just see people coming from other time periods, from the Roman Empire, or even our founding fathers, or even, hell, even my father, if he was still alive, he was born in 1915, saying, wait a minute, you boys are arguing about, you don't know what a man and a woman is? You get these idiots that are called down to the Senate conferences and the congressional hearings, and they can't define a man and a woman. What kind of retarded idiots can't do this? They either are one or the other, like Trump says. And I am so glad to hear him come out and say this. And yes, it's going to piss all kinds of people off, and good. I hope it does. I hope it really pisses off the left. I live for the idea of pissing off the left. But there are two genders. There is man and there is woman, and that's it. That's all there is. And if a man, that's all I've always said, you can go over there and you can cut your arms and legs off and paint yourself orange or paint yourself red, and call yourself an apple. That doesn't make you an apple. You can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself, but that doesn't make you so. That just makes you a mutilated idiot. And all these people who are cutting themselves up and chopping off their parts or adding parts, adding breasts where they don't belong, that's just, it's retarded. It's stupid. We shouldn't recognize it. I'm 100% against what we used to call transvestites, unless it's, for entertainment purpose, like you had, the transvestite and Archie Bunker. That was funny. But that's just for comedy routine. I mean, when Milton Berle dresses up in a dress and you see his hairy legs, it's just a comedy routine. That's as far as it should go. But anybody who's serious about that says that I just feel like a woman. Well, you know what? Keep that crap to yourself. Or go blow your brains out. I don't care. Okay? But the bottom line here is that we don't need that kind of crap in the United States. It makes us a laughing joke to ourselves, to our descendants, and to the rest of the world.
This week, I will reinstate any service members who were unjustly expelled from our military for objecting to the COVID vaccine mandate with full back pay. And I will sign an order to stop our warriors from being subjected to radical political theories and social experiments while on duty. It's going to end immediately. Our armed forces will be free to focus on their sole mission, defeating America's enemies. Like in 2017, we will again build the strongest military the world has ever seen. We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into.
This is huge too. I mean, it's something that should never have happened. The idea that you have some mandate to take a vaccine. I did not take any vaccines. I'm not going to take any vaccines. I said at the time, Biden can shove the vaccine up his ass. No one is ever going to tell me to wear a goddamn mask or take a vaccine, period. Not going to happen. And I am glad to see, and I knew several people who went ahead and took the vaccine because they were afraid of the. And I had asked myself if this was back in the 1980s, and when I was in the Marine Corps, and if I had been, it's hard to conceive that Ronald Reagan would have ordered me to take. But let's just say that in a paradigm shift, they told me that I had to take a vaccine, and the same political conditions existed. No, I would have taken a discharge. I guess it would have been a medical discharge, or I don't think they gave him dishonorable discharges, but I think they gave him medical discharges for not agreeing to take. And so I'm glad to see that Trump is going to reverse that and give these. Now, a lot of those fellows have moved on. A lot of them were going to retire anyway. But, at least the records will be cleaned up and they'll have a complete honorable discharge if that's the route they went. Or some of them will say, hey, yeah, I want to pick up where I left off, and especially if it's under a Trump military. And then the last part of his speech that I really liked was the fact that he said it's not just about having a strong military, which we need a very strong military. And I've always said we don't need all of these wars going on to have a strong military. Unfortunately, the American people are so stupid. If we didn't have a war going on or some conflict going on, and we said, oh, we're going to have this huge budget for military spending, American people say, oh, what do we need to spend this money for? What are we just training? We just have we're just building more beans, bullets, and Band-Aids and more tanks and missiles. Yes, that's exactly what we're doing. What we need to do is we need a Teddy Roosevelt military. And that Teddy Roosevelt believed that we don't necessarily need a war to feed our military. We need to simply have a strong military. So people say, well, you're against the military-industrial complex. No, I'm not. I'm against having all these wars. I believe that we ought to double our budget for the military. I believe that we ought to put all kinds of spending into our military and train our guys and buy the very best equipment. So, but the American people are stupid in that we say that, oh, well, if there's not a conflict going on, then the military doesn't need the money. And this is one of the reasons that they always have to have some kind of conflict going on, so that the American people will say, oh, well, yeah, I can see why we need to spend that money because we have this conflict going on in fill in the blank. Afghanistan, Ukraine, Israel, whatever. And they have to pump these wars up. And what he's saying is that we need to pat ourselves on the back for the wars that we don't get into. And we need to concentrate on that and have a strong military at the same time.
My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier. I'm pleased to say that as of yesterday, one day before I assumed office, the hostages in the Middle East are coming back home to their families.
Okay, this is the part where, it's for all the Republicans that are pro-Jew, and I'm not pro-Jew. I'm not anti-Jew. I had about 60% of my neighbors were Jews back when I grew up in Overton Park and near TCU. They were all doctors. They were great people. But I'm not for Israel. Israel doesn't mean any more to me than France or England or Saudi Arabia or Iraq. They are, so that doesn't mean I'm not pro-Palestinian. I'm not pro-Israel. They can blow themselves up. I don't care. Do I think that we ought to sell military goods to them? Sure. Why not? Let's make money off of whoever we can. Do I think that we ought to award them money? No, I don't. I understand why we have foreign aid. That's a whole different topic because that has to do with making the dollar the world currency. But no, I don't believe in foreign aid. And I've got a lot of friends who are all pro-Jew and say, oh, well, if they're God's chosen people. I grew up Church of Christ. And in Church of Christ, everybody's going to hell except for the Church of Christ. So the Jews are going to hell. The Muslims are going to hell. Definitely the Catholics are going to hell. So, and I'm not saying that I believe everybody's going to hell but Church of Christ, but that's the way I grew up. So I didn't grow up with this pro-Jew attitude. But let's face it, all these Jews that were hostages they come under the realm of dual citizenship, which is a whole different topic itself. And I'll just say briefly, I don't believe in dual citizenship. A lot of these Jews he says they're going to come home. He didn't say they're going to come home to the United States. They're going to go home to Israel, okay? If he can negotiate the release of the hostages, fine. I don't have any problem with that. That's great. But this idea that, dual citizenship, I don't care for dual citizenship. American Canadians or American English or whatever. You're either this or you're that. If you want to be Canadian, then be a Canadian. Go be a Canadian. Give up your American citizenship. I got a brother-in-law that has dual citizenship. He lives up in Canada near Vancouver. He used to be my business partner. But, and I know why he's doing it. He's doing it for the benefits. He gets the benefits of the United States and he gets the benefits of Canada at the same time. He married a Canadian girl. But the fact is, you need to decide, are you going to be an American or are you going to be a Canadian? Are you going to be an American or are you going to be an Israeli? Pick your team and stick with it. I don't think that we should allow dual citizenship. If you want to live in this country, you want to be a citizen, then be a citizen of this country. You cannot have a dual loyalty to any other country. If you want to be a French American, then go. I don't know if France allows dual citizenship. There's a lot of countries that don't allow dual citizenships, and I think that we ought to follow that format. Anyway, let's move on.